Alright, so you finally found your old Game Boy, but now it's this yellow, dirty, nasty looking color, not what you remember it to be. Well, there's an easy way to turn it back into a nice, clean shell, what you remember it to be. So you can go ahead, turn it from this nasty yellow into a nice, clean, beautiful white shell, the way it was originally intended to be. So a few things you will need. Alright, you're going to need Salon Care Volume 40 cream. Now usually you can get this anywhere that hair products are sold. I usually get it at Sally Beauty. I actually don't remember but how much they are, but it's pretty cheap. I want to say maybe like $8 to $10, but I might be wrong, but it's somewhere around that range. It's not that bad, and it's 32 ounces, so it's gonna last you a while. Usually a bottle like this, I can probably do about 30 of these, and I usually just put it in a cup and use a brush and brush it right on. So let me go ahead and show you how that's done. Alright, now before I proceed, the most important part is you need gloves for this stuff because it will burn your hands. Now I already have one that's taken apart, and because this one I still need to take apart, but I'm sure you know how to take a Game Boy apart, so I skipped that part over. I'm just gonna go ahead and show you as an example what I do. So you take your brush here, just dap it on here, put it on the console a little bit, or on the shell here, and you want a nice even spread. Make sure you don't have, you know, a big bulb in one area and then kind of dry in other areas. Alright, so once you have everything covered, we're gonna go ahead and put it into a Ziploc bag. And the inside or the back of it, I usually don't do, because once it's inside a bag and nice and sealed, it would actually start to evaporate a little bit, all the fumes inside the bag, and it will get the back as well. The most important is just the front, you know, whatever you're going to be looking at, physically looking at, that's showing. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the front, or do this shell. So once it's all covered, let's go ahead and get a bag. Alright, now I usually use little Ziploc bags like this. You can also use some shrink wrap or food wrap, you know, whatever available, but you're going to make sure it's nice and nicely sealed, no air gaps, because you want this to be airtight. You know, you don't want any fumes to get it out of here, because if it dries out, it's going to get even more yellowed than it is. I probably should have used a little more yellowed console, but I do have examples, other examples, and I'll show you that are already getting retrobrighted. So put it in the bag, and you want to get as much air out as possible from the bag. So you want a nice, clean, tight against the shell, so much light as possible is hitting it. So seal it up. Once it's nicely sealed up, we're gonna go ahead and start curing it. Now I would usually put it up in the morning, and you know, once the sun goes down, it'll be ready. Now if you have a bit heavily or a bit more yellowed consoles like this, you can leave it out a little more, you know, leave it out for 2 days in the sun, but usually a day for me works just fine. Now this method will work for, you know, any white consoles like this. So if you have SNES or NES, you know, other shells that are kind of similar color, this method will work as well. You're just gonna need a bigger bag or food wrap it, shrink wrap it, so it's nice and airtight. You don't want any air getting in or any of the fumes getting out, because once this cream starts evaporating, then the process is it's not gonna work. It would actually start yellowing even more. So it's really crucial that the cream stays inside the bag and it's nice and airtight. All right, so now I'm outside and all of them are placed. I should put it on a cardboard box or whatever works, as long as it's getting direct sunlight. And you just leave it out for about a day. You see this one's really heavily yellowed. You know, got plenty more over here. And I actually also have a NES here that was really heavily, well, it wasn't really heavy, but it had a good amount of yellowing. So just lay them out. You want to space them out a little bit to make sure, you know, no shadows casting the one next to it. And I would normally rotate them as well every few hours to make sure all sides get nice, clean, direct sunlight for majority of the day. So all right, so I'll let these set out for a day and I'll show you the results once they're completed. All right, so it's been a few hours. Well, actually it's been like an hour and a half, and you can tell how much whiter this one got already. It's still yellow, but a few more hours and it's gonna look more like this one. So they are all looking pretty good. So I'll keep you updated in a few more hours and we'll see what happens. All right, so it's been about I want to say 3 hours, and it's getting a lot better, but unfortunately the sun decided to hide behind the clouds. So most of them are all ready, but these will need to go for another day. But everything else looks great. So I'm gonna take the ones that are pretty much ready, and I'm gonna wash them up and show you the end results. All right, so once they've been sitting out for about a day, so I took the clean ones out. There are a few more left that were really heavily yellowed ones, so I'll probably do another day. But the ones that are ready to go, so I'm gonna go ahead and take them out of the bag. And just try to be careful. You don't want to touch the shells too much because they still have the cream on it, because you don't want that on your hands. You can wear gloves, but I usually just dump it out of the bag, turn the water on, rinse them really quick. And what I usually do is just take a brush, add a little bit of soap, and I'm going to go ahead and just brush them a little bit. So you want to give a nice, good brush in the speaker and all the way around and inside, of course. And the same thing with this one. Let's go ahead and rinse it. All right, so I rinsed that. Now, sometimes some of them still have a bit of some crayon marks or pen marks, just scuffs, whatever. And what you want to do is take a dry eraser, and that will actually get it out. We'll get all the scuffs, marks, and we'll get it right out. So you can have a nice, beautiful, clean shell. So do that to the front and the back shell. Go ahead and clean that all out. And of course, I usually go in more detail, but just for demonstration purposes, I just did it nice and quick. So go ahead and I would rinse it a bit more, and it's gonna be good to go. All right, so there you have it. Once it sits out for about a day in the sun, wash it down, dry it out, and you have yourself a nice, clean, beautiful, back to original, like it just came out of the factory, white shell. Now this method will also work if you want to use UV lights, such as LEDs or lamps. Now it will take a bit longer if you want to do it under LED lights or UV lamps. I actually started out doing that way, but it was just taking a bit too long if you have a really heavy yellowed console, and of course it's pretty expensive running those lights constantly. So I throw it out in the sun, it's not costing me anything, and it gets the job done a lot faster. So you can try it out and see how that goes. And like I said, you can try it out on the NES, SNES consoles, the Game Boys, pretty much any shells that are kind of white like this, if you want to restore it back to original. Alright, well, thank you for watching, and good luck.